now.
Mention of the 3 dots for
Yes, thanks, Norma.
captions.
We'll get to that, Norma.
No, you said it already.
Yeah.
Why don't you restart, Rains? Norma, you want to advise people about the 3 dots? Okay.
Betsy, so kick us off.
All right. So welcome everybody to our June 25th public speaker meeting for East Bay Gray Panthers. We have 3 featured speakers today, I'm glad to say. Before we begin, I wanted to recognize the 3 speakers and other first-time visitors. So I'm co-convener of the East Bay Gray Panthers with Carol Crooks, my co-convener, who's maybe a little under the weather today, but has joined us, so that's wonderful. We also have other board members and voting members, visitors, guests, as well as our speakers. So I need to go. Can you put me on the big screen again, Rains? I mean, I need to see the faces of the newcomers in order to introduce them.
You can always switch your view, but yes, I will move the spotlights. There we go. Boop.
So our 3 speakers today are Carrie Leljedel, who's from Illinois and the New York City Gray Panthers. We have Rachel Matthews from a program called Home Match Alameda County. This has been requested that we have someone come in, and Rachel approached us, so fantastic. And we have a third featured guest, Pilar Zuniga, who I never know exactly what your title is, but you are Community Engagement Director for the Ecology Center, but you may have gone independent, and so you're working with the city planning department as a consultant, and you are our community organizer. You're the wrangler to make sure that Gray Panthers and other voices in the community are fully at the table in the process of our disaster and safety element to the general plan. And I'm not sure, but I think today you're going to tell us about the environmental justice element. At least I was hoping, but I see our agenda as the CAC committee is a little different than that tomorrow. So Pilar, welcome. I'm Larry Robbins. How wonderful to have you here. I think you've maybe joined us once, but
I did. I was at the one that was talking about housing co-ops, which was particularly of interest to me as I own a place. But I'm very much interested in healthcare issues, which this seems to center on. I am on the downhill slope of vitality, I guess, but still good.
So thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Gray Panthers and bringing your voice. Are you in Oakland or Berkeley?
No, I'm not. In fact, I met Carol through a group called the People's Union, and she suggested that I look into this. I'm in Redding, fairly distant from the Bay Area.
Well, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Diana, it's good to see you again. And Sally Hill, are you a new member or a new supporter? Thanks for joining.
I have attended some of your meetings a few times in the last year or so. I discovered you because I'm leading an ageism discussion group at our senior center in Anacortes, Washington. And when I was just Googling around and looked up Gray Panthers, you were the closest group that I was able to find. And my daughter happens to live in Berkeley, was in Oakland, and so I feel a connection there. I was
Yay.
hoping to be in town. I was in Berkeley about 3 weeks ago, but I was sorry that I wasn't there when you were celebrating Juneteenth. I would have liked to have come by your booth.
That was a good time.
So I really appreciate the work you're all doing. And when I do tune into your meetings, I just sit in the background and see that there's good work going on in my daughter's neighborhood.
Nice. I would, do we have your contact info? And
I do get your
feel free to call.
emails.
Okay.
I
So,
get your meeting notices.
yeah, because there is a Portland chapter, but they're not very much online. And there's which is a little closer to you, I think.
A
And
little closer, but I'm occasionally visiting in Berkeley,
then,
so I
yeah, makes it, yeah.
feels
And
closer.
we do often have monthly socials. So Carol is our main organizer for that. So Linda XYZ, I'm welcome. I know your initials, but I'm not sure of the face, but thanks. Oh, okay. And Jennifer Ware also is one of our, I think, our newest members. She came by the Juneteenth table, but she'd already signed up. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Betsy, for the warm welcome.
Well, we got to have some more socials so others can be welcoming too. And Alex from Freed from Sacramento, Redding, I forget what you said.
City.
Yeah, thank you. Grass Valley, yeah. Erin, I don't know if you want to show yourself and introduce briefly. I don't.
Hi,
I mean,
there I am. Hi.
there we go.
I'm, first of all, apologies. I'm going to turn my camera and microphone off again because I am getting ready for a 5-week trip. And so I'm going to listen while I'm packing.
Fantastic.
That's okay. I live in Oakland, and I get your newsletter and read about the housing program, and I was interested in hearing about that. I'm unfortunately getting divorced, but I might have a room in my house in the future, and I've been wondering where I might find good roommates. So thank you all for letting me in the Zoom meeting.
All good. Linda.
I'm in the same, I am divorced, and I'm 75. I live in Berkeley, close to Hallie. And there's
Hi.
hi, Hallie. I get your emails. Allie and I have performed together before, and we have an Earth First connection, and we're all folkies, and I'm also a punk singer-songwriter for over 50 years. Don't laugh.
No, it's great.
No, I because I'm a punk, I'll challenge you. I'm 75.
Oh, okay.
I'm still alive. I still perform.
Is what you're saying.
No. That we leave behind with the male patriarchy. Yeah, very horrible divorce. I have rooms in my home. I need a safe roommate, hopefully around my age.
Beautiful. I hope Rachel's taking notes. And if I'm Susan Ricketson, you're a new name to me, at least. Did Carol recruit you as well?
Actually not. I found you. You know, I'm down on the Monterey Peninsula, so a ways away, realizing the Gray Panthers chapter in Santa Cruz is no longer up and operating. So nice.
Santa Barbara is your closest one.
Well, Berkeley. You know.
Okay. I'm not pushing you away.
No.
We're happy to have you.
Well, thank you. And so thank you for allowing me to eavesdrop and listen and learn.
Thanks. This is absolutely a public meeting. But of course we welcome people who really relate to the Gray Panthers intergenerational message. So, and for those of you who want to copy down Rachel's info right now, it's in the chat. And then Robert, is that you or is it Dirk on the phone? And Kristen, welcome. Good to see you again.
Robert's here separately, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, he uses the mic.
They're on
And
the
then
phone.
Helen, our wonderful, incredibly ubiquitous. She's on every board and commission and testifying. She's a great, welcome, Helen. I'm glad you could make it. One of our board members, and Dirk is here. Okay. So
Betsy, real quick, I can
yeah,
only stay on a certain amount of time because I'm caring for my father and I might have to drop out and back in. So please, my apologies in advance. I'm not trying to interrupt anything.
wonderful to see you. Good luck with your father today. So we are ready to start our program. I want to introduce Carrie, and Rains, if you want to make her a featured spotlighted person. Carrie is really a force of nature in the short amount of time, I think 6 months that that our National Gray Panther Council, she's been active in several campaigns that our chapter's been involved in, and I put a bio for you, Carrie. I hope it did you some justice.
Whatever it is, I'm not picky, you know this.
Okay. Well, I would just like to get you started. And what I would suggest is maybe after 20 minutes, 20 minutes, we pause to take questions.
Okay.
And the first part, Carrie's going to speak to us about the whole tragedy and travesty of nursing home snake pit, the things that aren't working for either elderly people, older people, or younger people who are in nursing homes. And then later, I'm hoping we'll get to some of your campaigns and efforts to rejuvenate the Gray Panthers nationally.
Okay.
So anyway, take it away,
So,
Carrie.
thanks, Betsy. I had the pleasure of meeting Rains last summer. I think in Philadelphia first.
Grand Rapids.
No, you were.
Let's not test our memories.
Yeah. So anyway, like Betsy said, I am with the New York Gray Panthers chapter. I am also with Caregivers for Compromise. For any of you that have heard of us, we are trying to get an essential caregiver law passed in this country so families are never locked out, or friends are never locked out of nursing homes or any kind of home when we were to have our next health emergency, because we all know it's coming. My story is very different than anybody's you'll hear. I have a 37-year-old son who lives in a care home less than 2 blocks from my front door. And on March 13th of 2020, I was told that I was no longer allowed to come in and see him, and he was no longer allowed to come out and see me. Everyone knows how devastated people were by the isolation and the deprivation and everything the residents went through. There was little to no conversation about what this was doing to families like mine or children, because there are 500 long-term care pediatric facilities in the United States. And they were all locked down also. I know of plenty of parents that did not see their juvenile child for 12, 14 months, except for a piece of glass between them. I was unwilling to accept that answer. And, long before I even knew what Gray Panthers was, but somewhere inside of me, somebody must have dropped Maggie to be in my world, because, I have a quote that somebody gave me earlier this week about Maggie saying, that we're not watchdogs, we're watch bitches. And I very willingly will refer to myself as a bitch a lot, because I don't let much get in my way. And because of that, I went from being a really just pissed off mom 5 years ago, almost 6 now, to close to one of the top family advocates in the country. I've got lucky. I've been up at Capitol Hill 3 times in the last 5 years. One of the times I got to speak at a congressional roundtable, And I am bound and determined to stick this out until we get a federal law passed that does something to allow every resident has to have an essential person, whether it is their loved one, their best friend, or their clergy, but they have to be able to have access to those people. That's where I started. Like Betsy said, I do live in Illinois. I do have a law passed in Illinois that I helped write with my state senator, and we passed it. It took us 2 years to do it, which I was told is very short. But the more I've done these things, I was unwilling to hear no. So every time I would hear a podcast or a webinar with somebody, I would take down people's names and I would hunt them down. Everybody from CMS to Mark Parkinson when he was the president of the American Healthcare Association, to Susan Ryan, who's the CEO of the Greenhouse and Pioneer Network. And people got to know me, and I would slowly get into meetings, and I got to know Jack Kupperman from the New York Gray Panthers. And at first he thought I was a little bit of a lunatic, but that's okay. He is absolutely one of my best friends today. And at some point, a couple years ago, it must have been 2 or 3 years ago, Jack had asked me if I would help co-chair New York's Transformation Tuesdays for the summer, because they wanted to do a Unity series. And I was like, okay, sure, 3 months, how bad could anything be? I knew very little about Gray Panthers. All I knew is that I really liked Jack. So after about 2 minutes with Michelle, which is in our chapter is called the president, I figured out this was where I belonged. And she and I spent a lot of time working on these 3 Transformation Tuesdays, which Gray Panthers in New York does a webinar open to anybody on the last Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we literally have people join us from every state in the country, and probably 60% of the countries in the world, sooner or later, we've had somebody from them. Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, we've had them all. The one common factor we've learned is everybody's got a broken long-term care system of some kind. None of them are no one's close to perfect even. The Netherlands has some great programs and all the rest of it, but it all needs overhauled. So somehow, from getting these 3 months with Gray Panthers, I got involved with others and became part of the Live Oak project also, which is Barry Barkin, for anybody who knows him. And when I started with Live Oak, there was a project that hadn't really been named yet. At that point, it was being referred to as the 3-tier project. The 3-tier project is a different way of looking at transforming nursing homes and long-term care in general. And I will get to that in a minute. I'm going to show you guys 2 pictures of my son. Even though he lives, like I said, in a home, hold on, stop other participants' computers. Sound share, okay, that's fine. So here is one of the pictures of my son. He, like I said, lives 2 blocks from home. So he's here very regularly, and I'm very lucky because of where he lives. They work with me on it, and there's lots of times that they'll bring him over and somebody will walk him over in his wheelchair, so I don't have to run back and forth all the time because it gets a little exhausting. This picture we took in Indianapolis on February 1st. He wanted to go to a wrestling event, and Indy's about 3 hours from where we live. And my son was born with a very rare seizure disorder, and he's been through more than most people could ever dream of, both medically, physically, you name it. He had brain surgery at 16 years old, all the rest of it. But my theory in his life has always been, his life is gonna be about quality, and we're gonna do things as long as he can do it, and if he can't, we just adjust and do something else. So even taking him away for a night is very difficult. But I manage, and I manage, again, because of the home he lives in, works with me to make sure that I have his meds sorted, I have everything I need, so I can still be the parent. The home he is in is 51 adults with developmental disabilities, and the other side of our building is 34 skilled nursing beds. So we are a very unique building in this country. We have a private owner, he's hands-on, he's there all the time. When I was speaking with Betsy a few days ago, after a little while, she said to me, "Do you own part of this?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, you keep referring to it as our home." My son's lived there 12 years. It's as much my home as it is his. And because we both spend a lot of time there. So there's no reason for me not to refer to it, I guess, as our home. But it's run so different than most, which is what makes it the place that he lives, home for him and me. And the fact that this is the only facility he's ever lived in, and God willing, this will be the only one he lives in, because it's ran right. And very seldom do you hear of a long-term patient that has been in the same place for 12 years. And that has a lot to do with we have a CEO who's been there for 25 years. No, our CEO, sorry, who is also our majority shareholder. He's been there going on 50. Our director of nursing and our executive director are both at 25 years. And, and as of last November, we had probably one of the absolute lowest turnover rates in the country, because it's ran right and he takes care of his employees. Which kind of leads us to where what was called Einstein, which is what I picked up as, this 3-tiered project of sorts that Live Oak was trying to figure out what to do with. And I'm like, well, to be able to organize and do something, we had to have a consistent group of people that were willing to work on this project, work on it together, and really put effort forth into what could come of a project that no one was sure of. So I'm going to run through a slide deck really quick because of our limited time. So first of all, the Einstein has been named now the Connected Communities for multiple reasons. We originally had planned on working with CMMI, which is part of CMS and the federal government, for funding these programs. Well, obviously, we all know under the new administration, that's never going to happen, which is a shame, because as of December of 24, CMS wanted to work with us. They thought this could be a solution to fixing part of the long-term care problem.
Carrie, I warned you. So you're referring to a lot of entities, and especially acronym agencies.
Sorry.
Not everyone here has been as close as you to this issue.
Okay.
So if you, on little asides, tell us.
Yeah. So CMS and CMMI are both components that are mandated by Congress to pay attention and take care of Medicaid and Medicare dollars. They are who pays everybody's bills. And they also oversee the programs. They run the health departments and the inspectors that, whether they're inspecting a nursing home or a restaurant. All of that funnels, through CMS and CMMI. So we were looking at building, and we still are, community-driven programs that no two communities need to look alike, but every community can have some connection. And how do we get the communities at large to become part of this connection? Are you seeing my slides, Betsy? I guess
I'm seeing the new logo, or the proposed new logo.
Okay. The Gray Panther new logo?
Yeah, which you might want to explain or come back.
Sorry, I guess I'll backtrack since I must have hit the wrong screen.
Oh, okay.
Problems in technology of share screening. Let me look and see where I'm at. Okay, so this is our proposed, Gray Panthers of New York is going to be going to this. It is going to be offered to every chapter in the country to be able to use this as an updated logo here in the next couple weeks. We had an ad agency approach us and offer to do pro bono work for us to help create this logo, which really describes what Maggie Kuhn wanted for Gray Panthers more than anything, which was age and youth in action. And, you know, which is why we wanted two Panthers. We wanted to be able to some differentiation between the older and the younger. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that screen now. And we're going to go to my PowerPoint. See if I can do this right now. And let's see. Why is this not? There you go. Okay, now you see a screen that says mission on it.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. So again, this is our mission, is bringing people together and how do we transform the system? It does not have to be a nursing home. It does not have to be a separate assisted living. Why are families like mine split up and I'm forced to receive enough care from my son for him to have to go live somewhere besides home? So we're trying to look at options of how can we fix some of these systems. And there is lots of different options of how to do this, ways that will benefit both the residents that live there, the families that are part of it, and most importantly, also the staff that works there. Because if we do not take care of our staff, they will never take care of our residents. It's just plain and simple. And the home my son lives in proves that every single day. So up on the right top, it talks about PACE, the Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. PACE is a federally funded program, which like everything else, we don't know right now, that not every state has because it's voluntary. But if they open PACE programs, PACE can sign people up and take you off of a traditional Medicare program and sign you up. So everything you need comes through this PACE program. If you need help with your doctors, they provide it. If you need help with food insecurities, they can provide it. They can help provide, and sometimes do provide, individual housing or assisted living. They provide transportation. The advantage with the PACE programs for people is you're not having an out-of-pocket. They are providing your medicine. They are providing your physical therapy and your occupational therapy because they're all inclusive. And they are contracted by the federal government to make sure that what you need fits into that all-inclusive care. And, the same way they also contract with hospitals. So if you do get sick, you go to a hospital they're contracted with to make sure, to help keep everything financially secure for everybody. And I think we're going to see more of these programs as we go, because I think it's going to be the only way anybody's going to be able to afford to age in this country. But, as on here, as you can see across the rainbow of colors here, we talk about multi-ability, multi-generation, whether it's a community center or housing, why are we not putting them together? Adult daycare centers, same thing, put them into where we have regular housing programs. So everybody's getting socialization and you're utilizing the space the best you can to assist and care for everybody. Probably the two important parts of this slide, or three, is the household model. We need to get rid of nursing homes. We need small homes, whether they are 8, 12, or 20 beds, but they're not 100, not 150 anymore. And that they're run like a home. They have a kitchen. They have, washers and dryers running that people can either do their own laundry or somebody can help them. There is a true living room and dining room. Rain, were you with us in Grand Rapids when we went to the greenhouse? I don't remember.
Yes, I was. It was pretty neat.
So would you just like take a minute and explain to people just what you saw from your perspective?
Well, to me, it was just the way that it was integrated. I mean, they had some, floors and places.
How big was it?
This is a large scale. I mean, a couple of different buildings of many stories, but a neighborhood health center, a place where people could go and get things taken care of, and the same providers were there to provide more extensive care for those that needed it in residence there.
Right.
That's the
And
shortest way I could think of.
Yeah, so that home is called Tomei Rivertown. It has 2 different residential programs. And then it has all kinds of services that people from the community that have signed up for can come in. And this is in downtown Detroit, in an area that 5-10 years ago, nobody would have wanted to live in. And they built this and built it up just for this. So we talk about delivering on the promises of human rights and effectiveness, and how do we make sure that we're not keeping people alive to live, and we're keeping people alive or not keeping people alive to just say they're alive, but we're keeping them alive to live. So one of my 2 partners, her name is Ann Montgomery. That is her dad and his 2 caregivers. And last September, they went on a 10-day cruise. He lived in an independent living center, and those were his caregivers. They went on a 10-day cruise, and every night the caregivers would text her and say, "Oh my God, we're exhausted. Your dad just closed another bar." He has recently passed, but this man lived his life the fullest to the very last minute. And that is something we want people to do, is we want them to live. There's no sense in being alive if you don't have a life to live with it. So this is actually Tomei Rivertown that Rains and I were talking about. It's only 3 stories high, so it's not a true, downtown building. The parts that are the greenhouses in there are small houses, are 10-bed units, and every room is a private bathroom and a private room. There's apartments on other parts of it throughout the buildings, and those are good size 1-bedroom apartments with a full kitchen, with a full bathroom, with a washer and dryer. And they were great. We were very pleasantly surprised. So Tomei Rivertown proves that you can do this without federal funds. This was built without a single dime of federal money. It has 0 debt. They've had a massive amount of community support, and enough so that they're actually getting ready to break down on another whole set just like this. This is the ideal, component for any of it. For shortness of sake, we're going to skip over some of this that doesn't really. So this is the crew of people that has really been working on what used to be the Einstein Option, and now the connected communities. Some of you might recognize a few people that are in here, but I had all of these people to St. Louis in March or in February, and they were kind enough to say they would come no matter what the weather would be. And we made tons and tons of progress. And some of these are just the organizations that we are all from. And we are still making progress. We had a demonstration today in Rhode Island that was just incredible, because they had about 100 people from all over the state of Rhode Island. That was everything from public health to insurance companies to people that ran nursing homes to people that are interested in adult programs and the elderly, and just aging services and etc. And and programs for people with disabilities of how can they now replicate this in Rhode Island? And I truly believe Rhode Island will be the first state to bite this bullet. You know, there's so much more I could go over from who I am and what I've done. But the one thing I've learned the most in the last couple years is one person can make a difference. You know, I started out as just a mom who didn't know what she was doing. And I went from that to where I am today, was very lucky to meet some very good people who helped me get where I am. But I know in the end, if I was to die tomorrow, my son is going to have a better quality of life where he is because of the work everyone has helped me do.
Thank you, Carrie. That's a beautiful place to pause. I know there's a lot more that we talked about. I wanted to, if people have questions, if you can write them in chat or put up your hand. This is not a time for comments, if you don't mind. But I just want to know, I just need to say that Pilar is having to leave and she wanted to make a short announcement, but I want to give you your due.
No, go ahead, let her do what she has. I have about 15 minutes. I'm watching the time.
Well, okay, but are there some clarifying questions so that we understand the scope of what is anyone, I don't see any hands up at the moment, but we can talk about it as well later among ourselves. Arlene, do you have a question for Carrie?
Yes, good afternoon. That was a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Question that I wanted to ask, you said it was no funding from the government. So where's the funding coming from that facility?
Tomei Rivertown had 18 different funders from the biggest part of it I know was Presbyterian Village out of Michigan, but some of it was hospitals, some of it was, you know, just local. It's a word I have a very hard time with. People with money, you know, and it was fundraisers and
Carrie and Arlene, are you talking about to build the building?
Yeah,
yes. This does not operate without federal support. This
no,
needs
it
Medicaid
operates with, but building they did it without.
No, I'm talking about the building, not the support.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I got it.
Answer. Yeah.
But it was a consortium of groups that got together to raise funds. And,
yes.
Okay.
And it had to start with any PRAISE program to start with must have a nonprofit attached to it to make the PACE program work with the government. That is the first requirement entity is a nonprofit.
Thank you so much.
And I can, if anybody has questions about PACE, I can put you in touch with somebody from the National PACE program.
So actually we have a bunch of links in the chat. I mean, I think that'd be wonderful, Carrie. And next month we have Center for Elder Independence, which is based here out of Oakland in the East Bay. And they are opening multiple centers in Oakland and Richmond. So they will be here next month. But right now, I apologize. We're going to take a short, non-commercial community break so that Pilar Zuniga can tell us some essential information about how Berkeleyans can get involved in our environmental justice and safety elements. So Pilar.
Thank you. Apologies for having to jump in here.
And we see your hands, Linda, and so we'll get to you.
Yes, someone needs to read the chat. There's someone in who needs.
We're reading the chat. Thanks a lot.
Please look at what Ilsa wrote. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, sorry to jump in and interject. I also have to take off in about 7 minutes. So I just wanted to quickly, if you are in the Bay Area and consider Berkeley to be a part of your community space, whether you just come into Berkeley to use services, live in Berkeley, hang out in Berkeley, work in Berkeley, then this message is for you. So I'm going to share a very quick, to give you some insight. This is all in regards to a project called Prepared, Safe, and Healthy Berkeley for All. And this work is in partnership with the City of Berkeley, as well as the Community Advisory Committee that the East Bay Gray Panthers is a part of. So that is why I'm coming to you all, because you all are actually included in this project, because you have Betsy and Maria Sol, who actually attend all of our convenings and speak on your behalf and share information that is supportive to your lives. And I work with the Ecology Center.
We just lost your audio, Pilar. You're frozen. So let me just say that we have a memo of understanding with that, so it's formalized, and we receive a small payment every month.
Yep.
Thanks to this wonderful project.
Yes. So we did get funding to basically pay for folks to be to provide their expertise, and that is a huge, huge step in how we make it equitable. General plan, really quickly, is a blueprint for the city's growth, development, and conservation. So this is kind of a general umbrella plan that the next 20 years of city planning will fall under. So it is gonna, have some effect over the next 20 years. So Gray Panthers is a Community Advisory Committee member. The Community Advisory Committee, or CAC, is supporting engagement and making sure that communities' needs are being addressed in the work. And these are all the policy areas that fall under these two elements. As you can see, and I'll read them aloud, there is a lot. Reduce pollution exposure, promote physical activity by way of probably green space access, promote equitable access to healthy food, safe and sanitary homes, public facilities. That could include things like water fountains or community rooms, promote transparency and engagement in public decision-making. That is a huge piece, and one we are actively doing right now. Emergency preparedness and response, fire, human-made hazards, hydrology and flooding, air quality, climate change safety issues, utility disruption, and evacuation zones. So you can see there is a lot in regards to safety. There's a lot in regards to resiliency. There's a lot in regards to climate change, and as well as just the environment and people's health and access to a healthy environment and systems. So we want to know, what are your priorities that may direct the goals of these new elements that the city is trying to create? So there is a survey. I'm going to share the survey now. If you'd like to take a photo on your phone, I will also share it in the chat here. And again, this is for people who define Berkeley as part of their community place. So you don't necessarily have to live in Berkeley, but maybe you're coming to Berkeley, using the park systems, visiting friends, worshiping in Berkeley, having fun in Berkeley. If this is a place that that you are linked to in your life, then please take the survey, as this will have an effect on you as well as your community members. All right, and that was my spiel. Very quick. If you are in the Bay Area and you take the survey, please, if you attend a Gray Panthers convening in the future in person, I am going to bring, hopefully the next convening, I'm going to bring some little, I got some little first aid kits. And this is your gift for taking the survey.
All right.
So I'll get those to you somehow. So know that you have a little gift coming. Thank you, everybody.
You have to watch out for the landfill, for all the gifts that are being given away by all these good services. Landfill.
Yeah,
this is a first aid kit. So it is actually going to be helpful in an emergency situation. I was very careful in thinking about what we're trying to give out to people. So this has items in it that would be a good thing to keep in a location if you were to have an emergency.
This is not just about you, it's about bunches of those
Thank you.
shopping bags and all
Thank
of
you,
that.
Norma. You're diligent. Pilar, please put the bit.ly address, the shortest version you can, into the message, into the text. And for those of you who don't have access to chat, we will save it. And
Send it on with the, and we'll save the chat as well.
Okay. Thanks. Was there any, so this survey is due on Monday, or are you talking, this is the individual person survey?
Yes, this
Okay.
survey closes on Monday, the 30th. So this is a broad engagement, but with the CAC, we're trying to reach more folks to get a little bit more on the ground needs and priorities from communities.
Okay. I hope you might be able to get some help to go do it at the library and the senior centers, but it's short notice at this point, but just thanks. All right. Thank you, Pilar. Drop back in next month if you like. All right.
I've already gotten 5 calendars for next year from all those places.
Thank you, Norma. And let's all just give Pilar a wave, if not unmuting and applauding, but and now back to our regularly scheduled program. You know, I just want to take a brief pause and say that we are, thanks to Carol, if she's feeling up to it, she may have had to step away. We have agreements. We're working on agreements for our public meetings, and we ask our members to remember those agreements, even though we did not read them today. Carol, if you find your copy, I just want to remind people about that we don't interrupt each other and that we pace ourselves to make sure we're sharing the air. So without, you know, and being respectful of each other in that. Thank you. All right, let's go back to Carrie, and Rachel, you'll have a good chunk of time, but I just want to make sure we have questions for Carrie. And I certainly have a few, but let me open that up to others. Cecilia, Miss Cecilia, are you still here? You had your hand up earlier.
Still here.
And
I'm
then,
still here. I wanted to ask, where is Rivertown located?
Tomai Rivertown is in Detroit.
Detroit.
It literally is at the foot of the bridge that goes to Canada. Because I saw the bridge as I was leaving there. I'm like, oh, I should have brought my passport. And like I said, it's in an area that 10 years ago, nobody would have wanted to live in. And they've worked so hard to bring this community in, and that the community supports it around it.
That's good. I was hoping that maybe you will be able to share this information with some other prospects that are planning on having some type of a nursing home, because we need that here in this area. We really do.
We will happily do it virtually with anybody. Normally our presentation is much longer than my quick run through. Ann Montgomery is a policy analyst that's worked up on the Hill forever. Joe Anginelli is a geriatrician. They are the ones who wrote this and came up with this idea and this component, and have figured out, you know, that there are other ways to do this. And that's what we want to do. I mean, there's just no sense in, first of all, just the siloing that we do of people. You know, okay, you have Alzheimer's, so we're going to send you here. And my son has, you know, these conditions, so we're going to send him there. Why are we not putting people together to live like a normal family to begin with? So I've only got like 4 minutes left. If I could just, and I'll answer Maria's question, and then I'd really like to kind of.
Actually, the question in the chat, Carrie, that I think is very urgent. It's
Okay.
from Ilsa Bartlett. I'm in an abusing nursing center with no care or food. How can I get help and care?
So if you've called your ombudsman, hopefully you have called your ombudsman.
How does one get the number of the
So
local ombudsman
look
for
up your
nursing home?
office on aging in the state, and then from there you will find your ombudsman. Now, I do know that ombudsman in California is a different state in itself with all of this. Honestly, what I would tell you, if it's that bad, if you're not getting help from your ombudsman, call the police. And or call 911.
You ask for a wellness check or
ask
what?
for a wellness check. There you go. Also, and they are, yes, all nursing homes are required to post ombudsman contact information prominently. Prominently is a joke. There's lots of places that put it on employee bulletin boards where residents can't see it. But if the ombudsman's office can't help you, call and ask for a wellness check. Make the police come in and keep calling, or demand to be taken to an emergency room.
I also know that the district attorney's office in Alameda County, and I'm assuming other counties, have an elder abuse fraud and scam unit, and they do check up on calls that are made. Not always the way you want them to. I don't know what the follow-up rate really is, but they.
Then Lisa, call and tell them you're sick and you demand to go to the emergency room. They must take you. If you want to go to an emergency room, they must take you. Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So what I really would like to touch on just for a minute or two I have left is Gray Panthers itself. I've done a lot of research in the last month or so because our founder, Maggie Kuhn's 120th birthday is early August. And we in New York are going to celebrate this. And we're working on putting together videos. And I've been interviewing people around the country who knew Maggie. So if anybody knew Maggie at any point, please, if you'll give Rains or Betsy your contact information so I can try to follow back up with you. But Betsy believed in age and youth in action. So even the two ladies that were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need a roommate, look at renting to college students, to somebody younger that can come in and help you if it's possible. Look at what are your options using some of those theories that Maggie so strongly believed in and built on. And I mean, this is what her books talk about. And, we together, there's so much wrong in this world, but for us to really be able to help accomplish change, we have to grow all of our other chapters. And yes, we have a lot of people that follow us online because of our Transformation Tuesdays, but this meeting we don't have, and I am very impressed with this. I haven't seen any other chapter do this, and I'm very impressed.
All right. Thank you, Carrie, and we'll have you back for more details.
Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Community Connections goes forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, Carrie. Thank you.
All right. Wow. So I will just note that anyway, thank you all for being here to hear that. And I just want to make sure that Ilsa got some useful information. She's someone that a number of us have known as she navigates getting older in not a great way. You just called the police and the police say they can do nothing. Wow. Well, why don't we do a little follow-up afterwards, if that's all right? My understanding is you're able to sit up and join this meeting. So maybe towards the end, after our speaker we can, some of us can offer some advice about how to approach the police or other situation. But Ilse, I'm gonna thank you for bringing us real world. And there are people talking to you in chat if you want to respond to them. So I'd like to introduce Rachel Matthews, who is someone I think we met at the Juneteenth festival. And so I only know that you're the executive director of this expanding home match for Alameda County, but I believe you'll tell us a little more about the sponsoring organization is one that I've, some familiarity with, a group called Front Porch, which I believe is a not-for-profit or else a B corporation, a public benefit corporation that provides services for people who aren't in a specific senior facility. But you might want to say a few words about Front Porch later. But I know there have been multiple efforts for the last 20 years. I've explored and seen home match programs come and go or fail to thrive or somehow not being supported enough financially. So I'm really happy to see what you're up to. And I think everyone here is really interested. So Rachel Matthews.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much for giving me some of your time today. And I will hopefully not speak too quickly. Sometimes I do that. So if I am, you can just say, slow down. I am the director of Alameda County Home Match, and we do work for Front Porch. That is our organization. And Front Porch is a 50+ year nonprofit that mostly has approximately 50 senior residences. So if you know St. Paul's Towers, San Francisco Towers, Oak Center Towers, so both not for-profit, it's all nonprofit, but some of them are market rate and some are low income. And most of them are in California, but they're in a few other states as well. So that's the organization, Front Porch. Front Porch, each one of those residences gives a little bit of money every year toward what is called the community, it's basically like a community foundation that Front Porch has that has community programs. And those programs are usually available to seniors. However, the housing program that I work for is available to anyone 18 and older because housing is so impossible. So the other programs are like connection programs, friendly caller, online travel, and lecture series. It used to be called actually it was kind of like Ashby Village. So we have things like that are part of Front Porch, but that's not me. But I could tell you about that stuff later or send information. Anyway, the home match program is a home sharing program. So what we do is we identify persons who maybe have a room available in their home. It can also be an ADU or an in-law unit, something like that. The person must live on site. That person does not necessarily need to own that space that they are interested in renting, but if they are the master tenant and they have permission from their landlord, that can also work. So what we do is identify these spaces. We go and we visit them individually. So we go and look at them, talk to the person, and fill out an application with them that asks questions about how do you want to live with someone else? What's going to make you comfortable? What kind of situation is going to work for you? And what we're talking about are things like, shared use of space. Are you okay with them being in your kitchen? Are there particular days you don't want them there? Are you going to be sharing a bathroom with them? How is that going to work? Who's buying the toilet paper? Who's buying the cleaning products? Are you comfortable with them having guests over? Do they need to let you know? How long can they stay? Can they have guests over at all? Can they have a pet? Do you have a pet? So, allergies. We go through all of these questions in the application and try to find what we think might be a good introduction for you with persons who are seeking housing. So we're working with both those seeking housing and those providing housing. We get to know both parties. They both fill out these elaborate, not elaborate, but 9 or 10-page applications asking questions about your shared living experience and desire, what's going to make you happy. We fill out, everyone completes a background check. That is not a credit check, but it is a criminal background check, and also evictions and things like that. For those who are seeking housing, we also verify your income. So if you're on Social Security, it would be a copy of your award letter. If someone is working, it's 3 months of their pay stubs. If they're living off of savings, it is 6 months of savings account. So we know that you have the money available to pay the rent. People have to make at least twice whatever the rent is that they are comfortable paying. So if they say to us, I really can only pay $950, then I need to be able to see, and you need to prove that you have $1,900 minimum coming in a month. Okay, most people hopefully aren't paying 50%, but these days it's getting pretty bad. So we make introductions to people once everyone has cleared the background, we've interviewed them, we've visited homes. Then we see in our database, do we have someone who might already fit your desires? If we do, then we make an introduction. The introduction consists of email and phone number for both parties being exchanged. Both of you then would reach out to each other. We'll obviously tell you, we're sending you an introduction for this person. We've read them a little bit about what your desires are in a ideal match. We've read you about them. And then we let you meet in your own time, have a phone call, maybe a Zoom call if you're comfortable with that. Meet in person. We encourage people, don't make the first meeting at the home. If you have a fabulous home in a fabulous location, you might want that person to get to know you before you actually show them your house.
For you. Yeah.
So we often will tell people, try to have that first in-person meeting somewhere else, down the street, at the corner, at a cafe, something else. Then once you meet, if you decide you do not like each other and it isn't going to work, you can let us know and we will talk to the other person. If you are interested in moving forward with them, then we come back to the home and we meet with you again at the home, and we help you do what we call is a living together agreement. And that living together agreement consists of a standard California lease agreement, so whatever the latest version of that is, including all of the California, disclosures about lead paint and Megan's Law and bed bugs and you name it, all of that is included in there. The other half of the agreement talks about those house rules / expectations. So then we go through all of that with both of you together, talking about the kitchen, the bathroom, parking, guests, turning on and off lights, etc. Also, part of this might be something Carrie was mentioning, and we do have this, which is a task exchange. So some people will say, I want to get $1,000 for this room, but if the person will help me with some things, I'll make it $800. Now, those things cannot include caretaking. So unfortunately for us, caretaking is not part of what we can provide. That's a whole other area of expertise. That is not where we're going to go. But it could be, I need help in my garden. I can't get out there anymore. I need an occasional ride to the post office. I would like someone who could occasionally help me at the grocery store or pick things up for me. Maybe somebody who can cook for me a couple times a week. These can't be things that are set in stone. In other words, you have to mop the kitchen Tuesdays at 6. This is more like a little bit more free flowing, and so that both parties are getting what they need. Once a week, if you could mop that floor, that'd be great, right? They're going to go around their schedule. Hey, by the way, this week I think I'm going to do it on Thursday after I get home. So it's flexible. You got to be a little bit flexible on your needs and what the person can deliver to you. We ask that people not expect more than 8 to 10 hours a week maximum for a task exchange, and it needs to be really agreed upon before the person moves in, you know, so that we would match you if possible with someone who is offering to be available for a task exchange, right? So this is where those applications come in with all the questions. What are you looking for? What are you willing to do? So that we don't introduce you to someone who is the exact opposite of what you want. You know, I'm allergic to cats. I don't like smoking. I don't like when people come over, and I need help cleaning my house. And instead we give you a, you know, person who works from home, smokes like a chimney, has 3 cats, and absolutely refuses to help around the house. Okay, we're going to not try to do that. We're trying to hook you up with someone who actually might be a good fit for you. If you're sharing the space with the person, so it's your home and not an ADU, I'll speak to that in 1 minute. But if it is shared home, you do have 3 different areas that you can have a preference in, and only 3. Those 3 are: you can have a preference for the gender of the person. You can have a preference for whether or not they have a pet, and that includes service animals, because you might have allergies or you have a tripping, you know, history, and you don't want pets underfoot, whatever the case may be. The other is familial status, meaning if you say to the person, I'm renting this room to one person and one person only, you can state that if they're sharing your home with you, so that they cannot later say, my son doesn't have anywhere to go, he's going to be moving in. So if, however, you want to rent out like an ADU or an in-law unit, and it has completely separate entrance, bathroom, kitchen, no shared anything, those 3 preferences go away. You cannot have preferences. Now, we still want you to get along with the person. So again, hopefully the application process will help us determine who might be a good potential fit for you. But at the end of the day, you can't really say, you know, I only want men out in my ADU. It's like, I'm going to also introduce you to women who I think might be a good fit for you based on everything else that you've said. Now, at the end of the day, you, of course, get to choose who you want, and that other person also decides, yeah, this is a good fit for me. So those are some things to bear in mind. When 2 people decide to move forward and have an agreement, like the living together agreement, we make a copy of that. Once it's completed, we give you both a copy of it, and we keep a copy of it. So we are not a party to this agreement. The rent that the person pays, which the person who provides the home decides what that rent is. We can give you a little guidance if you're like, you know, asking way too much or way too little. We could say, hey, you know what I mean? This is more the going rate. You can do what you want, but you know, we might have better luck if we stay in this kind of area. So we can give you advice, but we're not going to tell you what you have to do in terms of the rent that you charge. And we're not a party to the agreement. We are just helping facilitate. Therefore, the monies are directly between the parties, nothing to do with us. We just help them figure out, how is it going to be delivered monthly? Is it a check? Is it Zelle? Is it cash? What do you want to do? And then we stay in touch with you throughout the length of the match. So quarterly, we check in if we don't hear from you. However, we're also available if something happens between those check-ins. Don't wait to hear from us if something is going wrong, and you know your comfort level has changed and someone is upsetting you and something is not right. Whether you're the provider or the person seeking housing who moved into someone's house, we are available to help you through situations. So we can come back, we can have conversations with people on the phone, call them up and say, hey, remember in our agreement, you said you weren't going to force them to mop on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. Their schedule doesn't work with that. Can we talk to you about why that's happening? And can we work together to make this work better for both of you? And then we have, if that doesn't work and you want something more, we also have in-house person who can help you with mediation. And that is a trained certified mediator. And then we have third party outside mediation if that's still not good enough. Because what we're trying to do and our main goal is to not have anything end in a legal action. We're trying to help both parties work through human beings doing what they do, which is be human and sometimes are annoying, and help you both work through that and come out, both of you, whole on the other end. So we're not on anybody's side. We're just trying to help you guys through the situation. And, you know, sharing your house is a big thing. And a lot of people, a lot of seniors who are the majority of our home providers are solo women. Maybe the last person that lived in their home was their ex-partner or their now deceased partner, maybe their children. Maybe it's been 20 years since someone else lived there. So this is kind of a big change coming. So it's a lot of what we try to do is really talk to you for quite some time about, you know, your comfort level. How can we do this to make it comfortable? What's going to work for you? So we're not trying to force anybody in there. We are not making any placements. These are all introductions, and you can turn every darn one of them down. I do have someone who's been turning them down for 2 years. I have other people that we've matched within a week. So if you want to be introduced to 50 people, well, we'll do our best to continue to present someone who we think might be a good match. Again, none of that doesn't really matter to us. There is no fee for our service for either party. And again, you know, the thing that really sets us apart is just that we are available, ongoing, after the match is made. We don't just go, okay, good luck, see you later, and then assume that two strangers, nothing is ever going to come up, because it just is. So that's what we're here for. So that is the basic overview. Again, most people, the last thing I'll say is most people choose to provide housing because living in the Bay Area has become insanely expensive, as we all know. Therefore, a little bit of additional income is extremely helpful to pretty much everybody. So income is a big piece of why people choose to do it. Also, having some community. Maybe you can't really get out as much anymore and you're not interested in a PACE program or something like that, but you sure would like it if somebody was staying at the house at night so you're not there alone every night. Maybe somebody to have tea with you once a week. That's all, you know, okay. So these are the things that we try to talk to people about in terms of their expectations of that other person. And a lot of people also say, I don't want them to talk to me at all. I'm busy. I have a life. But I'm happy to help provide housing, and I could sure use that extra income. So whatever that case may be, that's all okay. We've seen it all. I think that's my major story to tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. So the Alameda County chapter started just before the pandemic. So you can imagine how well that went over. Hi, share your home during the pandemic. Just what Carrie was saying before about everybody kind of being isolated, and especially if you're in a SNF or something like that, it wasn't going to happen, that people wanted to share their homes. So we had a few matches that were made during that time, mostly in the Tri-Cities area, you know, Fremont, Newark, that type thing. It was kind of a focus there because we had some funding and money there. And now we started again in 2022, and we've made about 70 matches since then. So that's about 140 persons who were either protected, hopefully, from losing their housing because they didn't have enough income to help pay their bills, or someone who no longer had stable housing. So occasionally those people were someone who was homeless, but, you know, previously worked their whole life, were on Social Security and living in a car. Or it could be a student, or it could be someone who is new to the area and in the workforce, but really just doesn't know anybody and kind of wants somewhere to start. So we kind of work with everybody. The other counties, Marin County and San Francisco County, have been functioning for over 12 years. And in Alameda County, I can tell you we've not had anything end in anything worse than a 30-day notice, which is a standard way that you get out of a lease or an agreement. And that's what we strive for, is to help you. Not all of them, ended, with them best friends necessarily, but we did walk people through the process and help both parties to equitably get out of their situation and find better situations. So, any questions?
Norma, you have a question?
Norma, I'm not sure I understand your question. How's an applicant?
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't say anything yet. Is there a question in the format of finding out the applicants, the person who wants to move in, finding out their physical condition?
We are not allowed to share that information. We do ask people
if they have a particularly difficult.
We ask people if they need an accessible unit. So can you handle stairs? Do you have a wheelchair? So we would know that information.
Okay.
We do not share that with the provider, but we obviously aren't going to then introduce them to someone who has stairs. Does that answer your question, Norma?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Linda, you have a question?
Yeah. Because, well, now that I hear that you match different age groups, I was just thinking, oh, this is just senior to senior. And so my question before you said that the age blend was about having someone in whose physical needs changed. And I would imagine you already have something in place where the homeowner or the master tenant would let you know, it's not working, I can't. Yeah, so I just assume you already have provisions for them.
So we don't necessarily have provisions in that I have somewhere for you to go, but we certainly have resources and people that we talk to and deal with who can help with those kind of situations. And I would say,
pardon me, that wasn't, it was if I were to get a roommate / tenant and needs changed, because I thought this was just senior to senior, and I'm 75, things are changing for me. So I would imagine there's something in place that if I had someone here who was in my age group and their condition deteriorated, that I'd be able to let y'all know. Okay.
Yes. That's the open communication that we try to keep with you by checking in quarterly and then also being available, at any other time as well. Don't wait for the quarterly check-in. If you're like, oh my gosh, something's going on here, then we could reach out to their family, their emergency contacts, and try to help them,
Yeah, and it's reciprocal. I mean, I'm not 100%. 75 is not the fun and games we were promised, right, y'all?
Yeah.
Gotta laugh.
Arlene, did you have?
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi.
I met you when you did Everyone Home. I think you did the continuum of care. So I was curious about that.
Yeah.
The continuum of care is the coordinated entry service for the unhoused. And I was wondering, is this just for that particular population, or is this for the general population?
It's for the general population, and we are actually not a part of the continuum of care. Technically, it's just that there are a lot of people who enter that system who can use outside resources because maybe it doesn't really fit them as well as they had hoped. And so we also, we are not really involved with persons who, and again, I don't know everything about continuum of care, but for instance, if someone is just getting out of jail, this really isn't the right program for you. There are programs for that. I cannot place you with a vulnerable, let's say, senior, knowing that you just got out of jail for whatever. It's just, that just isn't who we are serving. But in terms of the age range, we have placed people as young as 18. A student moving here from Palm Springs and his parents were helping him pay the rent. He's now been at this home for over a year and a half with a woman who's 85, and they get along fantastically. So it's kind of all over the place. We also have had placements recently for people who are in their 80s. And sometimes they're placed with people in their own age range and sometimes younger. People do kind of tell us, oh, I'm more comfortable with someone who is more mature. Let's say that's kind of a key word, mature. It's like, well, you can't state how old or young they need to be, but at least I understand what you're looking for, because there may be someone who's 25 and is unbelievably mature, and you might want to meet them. You don't have to say that this is who I want to choose, but let's introduce them.
And it could be somebody 70 that's unbelievably immature. So
that would be me. I'm 63 and very immature.
But thank you for the answer. I appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm unmuting. Yeah, thanks. While there's a break in the questions. Yeah, thank you again, Rachel. This is so timely and great. I wanted to ask, not everyone is like, I don't know, good at filling out a 9 to 10 page questionnaire. They might actually be wonderful, but whatever, they're whatever. So to what extent are you actually meeting individuals who are applying, especially since they're not offering a home?
Yeah.
How are you meeting them? And are there any other ways, especially for seniors, that you're able to support someone? Because we get phone calls. I answer the phone, and it's someone living in their car because the shelters are so, they couldn't find anything they can afford, and the shelters are dangerous for some of the elder people, especially if they have physical ailments or, we don't have to go into the incredible shortage of safe places. But how do you get to know people, especially your candidates who are looking for a place?
So we option number one is we email you a link. If you don't have a personal computer, probably not going to work very well. The link is not going to give you what you want. You're going to be very unhappy with that application. Option number two, we mail a paper copy to you. Option number three, we make an appointment with you. Can you come to our office? Can we meet you somewhere? So we have gone to cafes before and met with people. So it's just, we try to be as flexible and available as possible. I will tell you that at this time, Alameda County has 2 people, myself and a program manager. We have looked at 6 houses so far this week. And we have probably done intakes with 10 potential seekers, in addition to everything else and keeping up with the current ones. So, I mean, it's your typical job of juggling time and availability. But yes, we have done any number of things to try to figure out how to make that work, including some people say, email it to my daughter. I can't deal with it. Fine, that's great. And then we have forms that people sign that say, we could share information with that person, yes or no, and then that person acknowledges it. So we try to have all those bases covered.
So for everyone, if you have a pen and paper, Rachel, maybe I put your contact info, repeated it in chat. So 510-424-1411 and R.A. Matthews at frontporch.net. And so what I'm hearing is that you do answer phone calls. Might take a while.
My phone is right here.
All right.
It's not sitting on a desk. It's in my pocket. I have it with me, and that's that phone number.
And let me ask, do you take volunteers? Can people train to support what you're doing in some helpful way?
Not really.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because like Norma, you were asking, it's like, what are the kind of questions that we ask? These are kind of private information. We're seeing their income. We're seeing copies of background checks. We're seeing, you know, it's not really stuff that we can share with volunteers. I think at some point, when we maybe get another staff member, we would probably find volunteers and train them to do tabling events for us, you know, and just make sure that they're conversant in the program and be able to talk about it, but they're not the ones actually gathering that very private information. Yeah.
And do you ask that same information of homeowners? Because I think we know owning a home is not necessarily the criteria for, yeah.
They don't, we ask them their income, but they don't have to answer that, nor do they have to provide us proof of income. But we do background check on everybody. And we also do identification verification. So it could be a passport, a driver's license, you know, an identification card, something like that. So that at least I know for sure when I'm at your home that you are actually the person that you state that you are. Yeah. And we do that with everyone. Yeah, Linda?
Just quickly, I've used a background check and the different ones are problematic, like they keep charging me. Do you have like a yearly, who do you use? I know it's off topic, but.
We use IntelliCore. I could write it, I can put it in the chat so you can see how it's spelled.
I think I've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oi Gewalt.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not, I don't know why they can't make the process as simple as we like to tell you people that it is. Because there's two ways to do it. Again, an email with a link in it that they send to you so that I never see your social security number. Or if you're not comfortable with that and receiving that via email, then you would share your social with me. I plug it into their site and then I shred that. So we don't keep your number, but those are kind of the two ways that we do that IntelliCore background check. And there's never a charge. Like I said, that there's no charge for that or anything else that we provide.
All right. I could keep asking questions. Let me ask our participants any last minute hand raises. All right. I think I just personally appreciate this resource. And I know different people over the years, even before I joined Gray Panthers, were very interested in this. And what you're setting up just sounds like a very clear brokerage, like it's a relationship. You know? And I did want to ask one more. If there are folks who don't meet your criteria, who are obviously in need, what is your backup, or how are you able to kind of pass on?
We send them to probably the same third parties that everybody else has heard about. BACS is one of them, Bay Area Community Services. They're great and have been very helpful and have worked with a number of people that we've worked with, actually helping them with rent, with the deposit, things like that. There's also Kaiser now has some outpatient help that's case managers. I don't know what Ilsa has for her hospitalization, but they do have case managers, and they also on occasion give money and pay people's deposits and their first month rent. So there's that. And then St. Vincent de Paul. I used to work at St. Vincent de Paul. I used to manage the store in Fremont. And so, I know them. And so I reach out to them on occasion as well, for the same type of things, support, and then there's various other community organizations and things, that just as they come across our desk, we just try to keep track of them and then share that information out with people as they need it.
Thanks. All right, well, let's again applaud, send hearts,
thank
flowers,
you,
all those great emojis that anyone can reach. And thank you very much, Rachel.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's take a couple minute break if anyone needs to take a break. I see Rains is sending up houses. Yeah, just take a quick break, and then what we do is announcements, updates. There were some listed in the agenda that I wanted to share, but if there's anyone who has an announcement or they want to raise their hand, just let me know and I'll put you on the list. So,
But first, let's remember to breathe.
oh yeah.
Take care of ourselves. I just came from a weekend of camping out and even car camping. It took its toll. I had a wonderful air mattress, a queen size that took up the entire cargo van I was borrowing. However, it would always be deflated by morning, so that was my alarm clock, waking up on the floor of the van. And Yeah, just wonderful to be in a lovely environment, rich and supportive, but realize, okay, I've been at this for a while, quarter century of this particular group. And yes, there's whole new generation involved, and it's great to see some of their leadership and new ideas, and it's not just the same old folks doing things, but yeah, it's like, okay, I had plans to go somewhere else this coming weekend, and I think I'll just stay close to home. Make the most of being here in this wonderful Bay Area, which is cooler than everywhere else in the country right now. For good or bad, however you like it, we got the cool.
My furnace has been broken since the end of December, so I was enjoying the hot spell, and then it got winter again, and it keeps doing that. So yeah. When you said about the air mattress, and I'm sorry, your name is Rains. Hi.
Rains, yeah.
One time in the city, my then husband and I were moving from one Victorian flat to the other one next door, but it meant his old waterbed had to be drained. So before he left for work that morning, he put a water hose, and he was leaving like at 7 a.m. He was a moving and storage dispatcher, so he had to be there early. So I was still sleeping, and the whole wake up alarm, I eventually woke up flat on the frame to the waterbed, and that woke me up. But at least I'd helped drain the so the whole air mattress, your queen air mattress, waking you up in the morning. Where did you go car camping?
In a place called Mendocino Magic in Laydenville.
Yes, Laydenville. Don't get me started.
We won't.
Road.
You'll come to the social, which we'll see how that develops.
I see a hand from Ilsa, Betsy.
Yeah, is there an announcement?
I just wanted to say that I knew Maggie Kuhn when I was a manager at the First Ecology Food Co-op in Philadelphia. We worked together. I got to know her boyfriend. I went to her front door. There was somebody who wanted to know. I mean, Matt was just, because I spent so much time with her, I know that even though I'm 80, I could have a 50 or a 30-year-old boyfriend. She was an inspiration. I mean, she was just who she was, and she was very elegant, and she got a lot of stuff done. And I was much younger than she, and so she was really a mentor in my life. Somebody asked if anybody knew Maggie Kuhn, they should announce myself. So I'm available for stories.
That was Carrie, our first speaker. And so
let her know.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make that connection.
Also see if I will, but I was also gonna, if you're able to connect directly.
No.
I can, okay.
No, if she wants to know, she can get in touch with me.
Well,
I'm
how
not
would she
able
do that?
because I'm not in a position to do that.
Okay.
We can share your info with her if that's all right.
We'll
Thanks. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Email. Okay. Yeah, of course. All right. So that was that. It's her 125th birthday, and there's been
120th.
120th birthday of Maggie Kuhn, our founder, and there was talk of trying to get a memorial stamp going for her, but that was kind of before the election. And, the world is, in
I'm going to go
chaotic
ahead.
moments. But that is one of the ideas, because she contributed a lot, and she actually wrote about sharing housing in the
yeah. She lived in a shared house.
Yeah, that's what I understand in Philadelphia.
I'm going to go ahead and stop recording so that we have this, the timeless speaker separate from our